Greetings, gentlemen. This is going to be an exclusive Ember Spirit guide. Ember is one of the heroes you want to master for your mid lane to really bring you to the next level and to boost your MMR. Stay tuned. By the way, for the more advanced players, check out the timestamps. I have a section of tips and tricks for Ember Spirit. I'm sure you didn't know some of them. The strengths of Ember are the following. You have a extremely high mobility, which the hero is completely centered around. So you can gank other side lanes easily, you can reconnect, you can get into fights and out of fights again. You can just kite the whole enemy team and you can actually make a real art out of this process. Early domination is a part of Ember because your abilities have very low cooldown. They come in active very early into the game. You can look for power runes and then start to play very aggressive early on. Your teamfight is really nice. Many abilities that you have do AoE damage, or you can even hold enemies together with your Searing Chains. You have some crowd control. The AoE damage, you can build it physical or magical. There's so many ways to impact the teamfight efficiently. You're really strong at that. You also have a decent laning stage. With the Sleight of Fist you have a ton of harass, and you can also use your Flame Guard and push with it lanes and get some easy CS, take some jungle camps in the meanwhile. So your ability to lane is really decent. There are some hard counters that you can encounter, but usually your laning stage should be pretty favorable for you. And you can dodge projectiles. There are not too many heroes that can do this naturally, but you have two abilities to dodge the projectiles. You have your ulti and you have your Sleight of Fist. For the weaknesses, you're kinda squishy, so if you get locked down by a lion or a shadow shaman, that's kinda difficult. And there's a high complexity with the hero, not even especially in pressing the buttons, but just because the concept of the hero is so individual, it takes some time to get used to it and to really know the strengths and the limits of the hero. Positioning with this hero is key. You wanna be outside of the team fights or on the edge of the team fight and using as many spells as you possibly can. You don't wanna use your all abilities on one single hero and then die because you don't have any spells left. And with the high mobility that comes with Ember, it's actually super tempting to break the team fight formation. So if you stick together with your team and you control a area or you started the team fight, you have the need to stay closer to your teammates, and if you break that formation too many times, the teamfight gets split apart and it can become very difficult for your supports to catch up with you, or they get singled out and die because you as a core just left them completely alone and they weren't able to follow you. Talking about the matchup for Ember, Ember is really good against heroes that either don't have the best escape abilities or have illusion or summons. So you will naturally see heroes like Shadow Demon. He can cast some spells to create the illusions and then you can control them. Also Shadow Demon dies really easily towards his damage. And then you see Phantom Lancer and Beastmaster. Both of those heroes, of course, have a ton of summons and you can cut through them. You can build for physical damage, your Maelstrom procs a lot, and you can just take a lot of the AoE damage out towards them. You're really good with heroes like Batrider, Lycan, and Morphling. Those heroes have in common that they have high movement speed, they are very mobile as well, so they can follow up with your aggression that you can put out as Ember. You can prepare fights for them, so you can Searing Chain a enemy target and then they can do the rest for you. You can soft initiate and let them do a ton of work, even tank for you, get some attention, and your ability to kite around them makes it really easy to win the team fight. The reason why you're bad against Oracle is that Oracle can always keep the teammates safe. If you try to initiate on them and you just try to kite around, they don't really die, and if you overcommit against them, then Oracle can still save them and can punish your over-aggression. Death Prophet has a ton of regeneration, so it's difficult for you to really cut through the hero, and Death Prophet also has a silence that kinda knocks out your whole kit. And it's even difficult to kill the Death Prophet, so combined with the high HP, the regeneration, the silence, and yeah, all of those kind of things make it difficult for Ember to get a kill. Muerta has a ton of magic damage that she puts out on you, and she can burst you really quickly. Also, she has a silence, and her ulti enables her to dodge the physical damage that you're putting out, so of course Ember struggles with this. Having Storm, Huskar and Leshrac as your teammates grants you a really low win probability. It kinda makes sense, all of those heroes are mid laners and they basically take away the role that you already have, so playing with them means that one of you has to be on another lane, which is not ideal for the hero, so they're not gonna shine through it, and they have the same function. In Storm Spirit's case at least, he's just zip-zapping around and getting low targets, and he's like semi-initiating all of the time, and Ember does pretty much the same thing. Huskar has also a early timing where he wants to push buildings really quickly and group up as 5, which isn't the natural habitat of a Ember Spirit, and Leshrac, yeah, is just a basic mid laner. You can't really have 2 mid laners in one game. With this, we're getting into the starting items. You want to start the laning stage with the Tango, a Quelling Blade, some branches, and then an Absorber Ward, and then you rush into the bottle as soon as you can. Try to get your bottle timing at like minute 120, and then you buy the bottle, and then your courier has enough time to deliver the bottle to you, so you can actually use the water rune at minute 2. For the early game, you usually want to build the face boots. This helps you to play active, to roam a little bit faster. In many matchups, you also benefit from the armor, and damage of course stacks nicely with your Sleight of Fist. You can get a stick to boost up your max efficient mana that you can put out and be more sustainable in the team fights. And then you want to get the Orb of Corrosion for even a better laning stage harass and some more slow for the enemy to close the gap once you're rotating. Maelstrom is really nice. It just enables you to farm quickly, and of course Sleight of Fist gives you many attack hits, so it makes sense to build something that boosts your attack modifier. In the mid to late game, you want to go for BKB. This enables you to stay alive during the team fights, to really actually initiate and to tank. Many heroes like Lion or Shaman you can completely counter just by getting a BKB. Then you get into the Sanchen Yasha and Aghanim Scepter. Sanchen Yasha gives you a ton of stats, reduces your mana cost effectively, and Aghanim Scepter allows you to just spam your spells. You can get the Shard, and then some armor items, and maybe some sort of lockdown like Hex is really nice. Situational, you can build a Octarine Core. This allows you to spam even more spells if you don't feel a immediate threat and you think that your ability to kite around the enemies is the most important part. You can get something like this. If there's something that you have to evade clearly, like a Legion Commander duel or a Bane ulti, then you just want to get the Lincolns to be safe. You can finish the Gleipnir if you're feeling like crowd control and damage is the thing you want to double down on. TP boots are a nice upgrade from your face boots. There's not really another option to go here. And then really situational, you can go Blink Dagger if you're feeling that your movement is the main key and maybe you're stomping anyways, and then you just want to really advance forward. And duels can be useful, especially in the early game and mid game, to get rid of so many things. There are silences that you can purge. If you play against Troll, you can lift them up. There are so many use cases for duels. Some games you should really consider to get that item. You also get some mana and movement speed, just adds naturally to what you want to do. Alternatively, you can choose a physical build where you would be buying a Desolator and then a BKB into Daedalus, and then you still get the Shard, TP boots and Aghanims. Many things actually with the physical build stay the same. I think the really biggest difference is that you try to get an early Desolator and put out a ton of damage against single target heroes that have low armor anyways, and yeah, your movement still is pretty much the same, and your other items that follow up from it pretty much the same as well. Let's jump into the skill build. Usually you start with your Flame Guard, and then you get the Sleight of Fist, another point in Flame Guard, then you max your Sleight of Fist, you finish your Flame Guard, and then you get the Searing Chains. Sometimes in the laning stage you can be a little bit more adaptive. There are laning stages I think where the Flaming Guard is better, and you can just feel around and see what's going on. Just make sure that you're playing against heroes that don't immediately break your Flame Guard. If you play against Zeus, for example, or heroes that have a higher magic damage like Lina, they are able to break your Flame Guard, so be aware of the specific timings and how much damage they can actually absorb. Getting an early point into the Searing Chains can also be useful if you know that there is a guaranteed kill coming up. Of course, you can be taking that skill point first and then you leverage out of the advantage that you get. For the talent tree, you go for the 12 damage, the 50 Flame Guard DPS, and then on level 20 the 55 Sleight of Fist hero damage, and then on 25 the 2 Sleight of Fist charges. I think they scale a little bit better, and the Remnant cooldown, for example, you can buy things that get cooldown, or you can get neutral items that help you with the cooldown, but it's really valuable addition to have 2 Sleights of Fist ready for you to use. Searing Chains root the enemy for up to 3 seconds and deal damage while they're doing it. You get maximum 2 targets and they have a search radius of 400. The search radius is centered around Ember Spirit, so when no other targets are nearby, nothing happens. The units are selected randomly within the search radius. There are no priorities. Roots the targets, preventing them from moving and casting certain mobility abilities, and it also provides true sight over the target. It does not target invisible units or units inside of the fog of war, and it deals the damage in 0.5 seconds intervals, starting 0.5 seconds after cast. Sleight of Fist attacks all enemies in a targeted area of effect, and then returns the hero to the start of the location. It deals bonus damage to heroes, has a effect radius of 550, a jump interval of 0.25 seconds, and a hero attack damage bonus of up to 150. Now it's important to notice that it doesn't disjoint projectiles upon the cast. Still, it gives you the ability to dodge projectiles. Sleight of Fist has the following effects. It disarms and turns Ember Spirits invulnerable and unselectable. Other actions besides attacking can be performed normally during it. This means you can stun with abilities like Whistleblade, you can Hex, you can cast Meteor, all of those things. It neither has a target limit before marking, nor a distance limit after marking all its targets. Ember cannot recast the ability until the current cast has finished. Upon cast, all targets within the area are marked at the same time. A flaming sword appears above them as an indicator which lasts until they get hit. It doesn't mark invisible or attack immune units, but it fully affects units in the fog of war. They are also marked upon the cast and get hit as well. It jumps on the first target instantly upon cast, then subsequently jumps in 0.25 second intervals. The jumps are random between all marked units. There are no priorities. These instant attacks can proc any attack modifiers. They do not have True Strike, but you can use things like Maelstrom, Diffuse Blade, Desolate, like all the things you can imagine with attack modifiers. It grants a very unique flat conditional bonus attack damage against heroes. And although the attack damage bonus values are not displayed in the HUD, it is still considered and directly added to Ember's attack damage upon the instant attacks. The attack bonus is considered by critical strike, cleave and lifesteal, and it can be reduced only by flat reductions, for example damage block. It treats illusions and clones as heroes and creep heroes as creeps. Sleight of Fist can only be cancelled under the following conditions. You either cast a active Fire Remnant, however, other sources of forced movement do not, or you die as Ember Spirit. With the talent, you get an additional charge. Flame Guard is a fire field around Ember Spirit that absorbs a percentage of damage taken and also deals damage per second in an area around Ember Spirit. If the shield is broken, the damage is lost. It has a radius of 450, does up to 55 damage or even 105 per second with the talent, absorbs 70% of the magical damage incoming, and has a damage barrier of 285. It lasts for 20 seconds. It deals the damage in a 0.2 second interval, starting again 0.2 seconds after cast, and grants Ember a magical damage barrier that absorbs 70% of incoming magic damage values. It stacks additively with the same damage type barrier sources and independently with other damage type barrier sources. It has a higher priority than universal damage barriers in the group of damage barriers, and the damage barrier is lost upon collectively taking, depending on the level, 85, 192, 300, 407 damage from magical abilities. Fire Remnant sends a Fire Remnant that runs to the target's location at a 250% bonus speed of Ember Spirit's speed. Ember Spirit gets all 3 charges immediately upon learning Fire Remnant. Acquiring Aghanim Scepter the first time instantly grants 2 charges as well. This is only happening once, so reacquiring it does not grant them again. Every time a Fire Remnant is placed, Ember Spirit gets a status buff, showing the duration of the Remnant. The status buff disappears once the Remnant expires or is used. The movement speed that the Fire Remnants use to move is set upon cast and does not adapt. This means you can cast your Remnant and then the buff that slows you or boosts your movement speed can disappear and the value is still locked in. The Fire Remnants are visible to everyone. They do not grant any vision and cannot be seen when sent into Fog of War. When the Remnant expires, it deals no damage. If you get the shard, the Fire Remnants now deal 22.5 damage in a 0.5 interval, starting at 0.5 seconds after receiving the debuff. And the first Remnants starts to deal the damage as soon as they reach their destination. You can deal up to 2047 damage within a 450 radius for the entire duration. So if people stand close to this, those things really hurt. The damage is affected by outgoing damage manipulation and by spell lifesteal. Also, when you die with the shard, you leave behind 1 Fire Remnant on your death location. The Fire Remnant cast does not use up a charge, lasts its full duration and is not bound to Ember Spirit's death timer and does not disappear when he respawns. Your ultimate creates a Fire Remnant that you can arrive at. Ember Spirit travels to a Fire Remnant with a speed of 1300 if it can be reached within 1 second at that speed, or reaches it in 0.4 seconds. Therefore, Ember Spirit travels even faster when the distance between the 2 Fire Remnants is greater than 520. Ember Spirit is invulnerable while traveling to a Fire Remnant. The mana cost of active Fire Remnants is always the same, regardless of how many Remnants he's traveling to with a single cast. He always travels to the Fire Remnant furthest away from the targeted points first. While traveling, Ember Spirit cannot turn, but can attack, cast abilities, and use items. Using items still requires Ember Spirit to face his targets. Therefore, while traveling, Fire Remnant does not require facing the target to cast. Ember Spirit damages enemies with a 225 radius around him as he travels, and in a 450 radius around a Remnant upon reaching it. Enemies may only be damaged once per Remnant, either by Ember Spirit as he travels towards the Remnant, or by him upon reaching the Remnant. It destroys trees, but through a high traveling speed, some trees may be skipped and not destroyed. Alright, let's get into some tips and tricks that you can use for Ember Spirit. You have the ability to choose which target is going to be hit by your Searing Chains, cast your Sleight of Fist, and during the animation you press A and then Shift and your Q or Searing Chains ability immediately afterwards. The reason this works is because you are going to use your W, and your W brings you close towards the enemy positioning, and then you issue a attack command, but this gets cancelled of course since you're in your animation. But then your game registers the shift command immediately afterwards and issues the spell to be cast. The safest way to clean up low HP targets is to set a Remnant already, Sleight of Fist Searing Chain the target, set 2 Remnants and then press the minimap to get back to your Remnant into safety. If you press on the portrait, you can see the movement of Ember Spirit during his Sleight of Fist, and you can actually see that he's changing his location all the time. Quick shoutouts to Adrian and his YouTube channel here. I've been heavily inspired by his Sleight of Fist video. Link in the description. You can exceed your maximum Remnant range if you use Sleight of Fist. Sleight of Fist shows your position for the game at the heroes you're currently sliding, and from there you can cast another Remnant at maximum range. You can also use Hex on enemies that are further away if you combo it nicely with the Sleight of Fist, so you can get really nice casts out of this. You can combine this with things like Blink Dagger, and the range that you get out of this is just insane. You also have the ability to use items like Meteor Hammer while you're doing the Sleight of Fist. Same is true for TP, you can Sleight of Fist and then TP out. You can see the TP starts already, and my location of the TP seems to be somewhere else. Shiva has the funniest interaction. As you can see, you basically proc wherever your movement is supposed to be with the hero, and then the enemy gets the hit every single time you visit them on the location. If you're low HP, you can just press Satanic and then use the W, and your HP will still regenerate even in the Sleight of Fist. If you're trying to dodge projectiles from Queen of Pain, for example, make sure to dodge as soon as you hear the sound and not afterwards, because otherwise the projectile will still chase you. If you want to use your Remnant as dodging, make sure to move into the projectile and not away from it. If you move into it, it marks your location as being there already and you gain your invulnerability. If you move away from it, the projectile is just going to chase you. Alright, let's get into the laning stage. Your main goal on the laning stage as an Ember Spirit is to get as much CS as you possibly can. Of course, that goes for every single hero, but Ember Spirit specifically doesn't usually farm that much in the mid to late game. He just wants to be playing active. So it's important for him to get a early high last hit score at the beginning straight away. So as soon as he comes to the wave, he's going to draw aggro and he's going to start clicking the CS. He's using Flame Guard as well and then tries to secure the range creeps. Your main goal here, I think, is just to push out the wave constantly and boost your own last hits. So the next wave is going to come in, he's drawing aggro again, he's pushing the wave again, he's looking to get some denies, drawing aggro here again, getting CS on the tower. Once the creeps are stepping into the tower, he's moving back just to be able to take the last hits, and then you only have to care about the range creep. So he preps it, uses Sleight of Fist, and gets a juicy last hit. Now the next wave is coming in, and he's pressing the Flame Guard again. This allows him to zone off the Zeus on the side here, and then to create distance from Zeus and the melee creeps, and this also enables him to get the last hits easier. As you can see, the Zeus is zoned off, and now he's free to take all the last hit that he finds. He's pressuring him on the tower, looking for a couple denies, then as soon as the next wave is coming in, he's gonna be drawing aggro again, bringing the wave towards him. As you can see, he managed to get the bottle before the 2-minute timing. I think this is especially important on the spirits. You just wanna be at the rune usually at minute 2 and just mirror the enemy movement. He has to go for one side of the rune and you can get the next one, and this enables you to stay full on mana and HP. And then stick makes a ton of sense. I think this is what he delivers here in the courier. Uses Sleight of Fist again to secure the range creep. Let's see if he gets all these CS. Close. One missed. It's still fine. He's posturing aggressive again, and then he uses his ability once again to push in the wave as fast as he can and to zone the Zeus. If we look at the last hit board, we can see that he has 21 last hits already, and this is exactly what we need as an Ember Spirit. We just need a ton of CS to boost it and get an advantage in the early game. Now we see Techi's even filling up his rune. Such a gentleman. And then we see the Blightstone coming in, the finished magic wand for the sticks charges that you can get from the Zeus. He's gonna be casting all the time. Building into Orb of Corrosion, this enables him to be more aggressive on the side lanes later on if he chooses, and to put even more pressure on the Zeus. The Zeus has low armor already, and you can just abuse it. We see him pushing out the wave again, starting to spam his W. Now he falls low HP, he's even dropping out the stick here to efficiently heal up with the bottle. Minute 5 happens, so there's a catapult here. This means we want to be pushing the enemy wave even more. And then the goal is to not let this catapult pressure the tower. And he's TPing back here just to be full HP. This has many reasons. You can defend the catapult, and you can also stop the enemy catapult from pushing your tower if you have high HP. And of course the next thing that's coming up is the minute 6. We want to be able to fight for the power rune. As you can see, he already bought some wards, he's going for the boots, and this will enable him to set the wards on one of the sides and then to place a remnant. He's even checking for another ward, he's pushing out the wave. This is just perfect gameplay. Leaves the catapult here, goes to the other side of the rune, and then he sees the rune through his ward and knows if it's contested or not, and then he can pick up the rune easily. And with this, of course, there's a huge advantage that you get. Now his catapult even damaged the enemy mid lane tower, and he is able to deny it. He's pushing in the wave again, making sure to get this CS. Just wants to create pressure here. Zeus gets a bottle refill. This is a high MMR game. That's one of the things where you can see that. He's checking side lanes. I want you to notice that he didn't rotate yet. And the reason why he didn't rotate is yet because he doesn't have his power spikes and he doesn't want to be forced. You can see him playing aggressive even inside the tower. He wants to put pressure on the enemy, and if he doesn't draw aggro, as long as he has a creep in the tower, he can put out a lot of damage with his Flame Guard and with the Sleight of Fist. Now the next rune is coming up, so he prepared a Remnant already. Gonna see what happens here as soon as the minute 8 spawns. He tries to push out the wave again, and then you want to be at time at the runes and secure it. This is so important as a spirit. Now again, he was thinking about pressuring on the tower. Creeper was dying already, but now he sees the techies here, so he uses his Flame Guard again to push in the tower again, and now he can even push with the Blightstone from the Orb of Corrosion. This is another great effect. Zeus is coming back. We saw him glance once towards the bottom lane as well. With a power rune, you always want to be ready for a aggression, but you don't want to overextend, and you don't want to force it, of course, if there is no opportunity for it. We're low HP a little bit. Let's see what the play is here. He's TPing back. He has the Arcane Rune, so his TP will be on cooldown shortly, and he can fill up one more time. He's pushing in the wave, and this is the first time he is looking forward to be going in a gank. So now we're at the minute 9, and he's looking for a gank. The reason why he is going for a gank is that mid lane is already be pushed in, and he has his abilities up. He has a couple of items that he can play with. He just got his face boots as well, and he sees top lane in distress. He's checking top. He sees that the Warlock died. He sees a Hoodwink that died, and he's looking for the Anti-Mage. Realize that he even skipped the bounty rune here. If he has full bottle charges, you don't want to pick it up, because then you only have the 2 charges, and he's moving towards the top side. Then he realizes that Anti-Mage is not a viable kill. He probably blinked out in some direction, and it's not really worth the chase. We can glance over the mid lane, and we see that the waves are connecting already again. So he's moving towards it, and then he chooses to pick up the bottle rune. Another reason to be here is that the minute 10 is coming in, and now he's grabbing a DD, and he's looking to get another set of aggression. He sees a Warlock, casts a spell. He sees the Primal, initiates on him because he knows that the help will be far away. Now he sees his Zeus TPing in, so he's retreating a little bit, but he's still willing to kite around here. You still have a stick, and he gets another juicy kill out of this. And even more aggression is put out. He's just slowly playing this. As Ember, it's so important, especially in the early game, to get out as many spells as possible and not to die while you're doing it. So you never want to all-in commit your 3 remnants unless you're really sure that all you need to do is bursting this one hero. And then he rotates back to the mid lane and finds an anti-mage and just harasses him. Yeah. And basically he took the tower in 11 minutes, almost 12 minutes, but this constant aggression and this not getting forced by his teammates to fix bad lanes, that kind of mentality of clarity and where you want to be and playing around your item timings, I think is really important as a spirit and a mid laner specimen. So he's retreating, filling up mana again. And then we have the runes. He's pushing out mid again, always forcing the enemy to stay in the mid area. Then he was looking towards the anti-mage. Now sees 2 targets here. Gets a little bit of harass out. Has a techies with him, so there might be an opportunity. They're smoking, looking for anti-mage. Now they see Hoodwink, the smoke broke, and he's looking for a kill here. even going in really aggressive. And they find a kill. Looking for Zeus. Zeus backs off, and then he's looking for the anti-mage and snatches a anti-mage kill with such a great map awareness. Not Primal even went in, and he still had a Remnant to play with. Very, very nice patience. And now, even though he doesn't have a Remnant, he's still sticking around in the area. He knows they don't have the damage combined anymore to kill him. And yeah, he's putting so much aggression out and knows his limits really, really well. And this enables him to get a 14-minute face boots plus Maelstrom. He's picking up the next rune, and then same thing, we want to be controlling the enemy areas, we want to create space for our carry, and we want to not die while we're doing it. He's using a Remnant, getting a kill. Looks tricky, but he's very, very strong at this point. He has the bottle, he has a couple stick charges still to go, and he's kiting around with it. And only now retreats again to fill up from the base. Pushing out mid. And putting out even more aggression here on the sides. So this is basically how you want to play the early game. You want to be very annoying, you want to be very aggressive, and always be aware of your limits. Having a nice positioning to always cast the spells. And don't feel forced to engage in team fights that are lost already, or don't try to fix things that are going wrong. Try to constantly look for enemies that are weak against you, like Hoodwink, Zeus, Varlock. All of those heroes can be killed easily by Ember Spirit, so that's what you want to play against, and then you consciously search them, and you don't just run reactively into lanes that are going bad at the moment. Then from this point in the mid game, it's your job to dictate the speed of the game. This usually means that you want to group up with your offlaner. Your offlaner has the same power spikes and item timings that you usually have. At around 15 to 20 minutes, the offlaner can become very, very strong, and the same is true, of course, for Ember. So we're grouping up and we're trying to play together. And he's looking for an objective. They could be playing at the top side equally as well. I think top is even more beautiful for most of the games. But they've decided to go bottom since they're here anyways, and now they're just collecting every single kill they can get. They catch the Storm off guard, and again we see the Ember moving towards his Brewmaster, trying to play together. And you don't even need to communicate that specifically, you can just non-verbally communicate it by pinging some things and then trying to move together, see if you have the same idea. This enables him to get a decent BKB timing, and he's even smoking and looking towards the bottom side, but then he wants to reconnect with his teammates. He can cut another wave here, but even chooses to fight straight ahead. And now I want to put attention to the way he uses his BKB. So they just killed the Primal, and he didn't use the BKB all the time here, and now just starts to use it once he commits his last Remnant. And this last Remnant and this BKB that went off with it basically dodged a ton of damage that went in here. So he dodged some anti-mage damage, some Zeus damage, and all the things that came in from it. And even though the teamfight continues still, and he has so little spells and no BKB, he's still sticking around. He's still playing in the area, he's trying to be aggressive, he tries to be with his team, and constantly puts out aggression. And only now, even here, he still casts AW. Incredible, incredible. We could think he's retreating, but he sees a Primal coming in and he's still sticking around. And only now he chooses to set a Remnant and then to get 75 mana to TP out of here and to reset. But he leaves the Remnant here because his idea is to continue the same pressure. The fight has been going on so long that now his BKB even starts to be ready again, so he's absolutely willing to fight again. He's chilling in the area, he realizes his brew is with him as well. He's looking at the Wisdom Rune, baits with the Wisdom Rune, and then looks to get a super nice shackle out, and again immediately jumps into it. And only then, when he uses the jump in, we will see that he's using the BKB again. And this dodges so many abilities again. The Primal Beast was cancelled, Hoodwink's ulti was cancelled, and basically this aggression allows them to take a tier 2 tower and to take a Tormentor. So see again that the BKB has been used 2 times and 2 times in a very similar fashion. You want to expend all of your resources, wait for the last thing to do, and once you're committed to dive, then you are using the BKB. He's even reconnecting again to this fight. He shares his bottle towards the techies, and techies can get full mana. What a gentleman, returning the favor that he had in the laning stage here before. Pushing out bottom again. Realizes that his offlaner is with him again. And they're looking to group up. And now the situation looks a little bit different. They have been taken the bottom side and they've pushed it out, so they know that there's a lot of information on the map and they have a objective available, which is Roshan. So now he's just being part of the opposite side of the map, and this is another key aspect of Ember Spirit, the ability to split push lanes while also not losing the access to your team. So he set a Remnant towards bottom, and then he's pushing out the top side. Main goal here is to create space for the enemy, for his own teammates, and then he can block the enemy from walking in. And he's going to be pushing probably one more wave here as well. Yeah, he sees the anti-mage, shows a little bit of aggression. And now his team is able to join him. From this, they can be moving towards the top side of the area, and they take a top tower here, and then Ember is already preparing the mid lane. And they can take mid. And after this, of course, they will be looking to take the high ground. They see Primal Beast action there, but you don't really want to join there. You just want to concentrate and now sit around your carry and look forwards to get a high ground position. So to summarize the mid game, try to play with your offlaner, get your key items as quick as you can, and then play with the BKB. And the BKB enables you to really exceed your limits that you usually have. Try to use it at the last instance where you really need it, and you can dive with it, and then play with objectives. Again, play around your offlaner. Looking in this approach to go for the high ground, Ember Spirit is actually the one who really wants to go in here. He has a BKB and he has the Aghanim Scepter, so he's a ton of spells that he's able to use now. Uses the BKB and dives the enemy fountain real quick. Tries to get out, but gets caught in the last minute. And throws the high ground push. This is a classic Ember situation. If you have a hero with such a high mobility, of course you're gonna try to push the limits all the time. But hey, the reason this guy is rank 300 is probably because he's been pushing his limits quite a few times, and he keeps doing so, which I absolutely love. And that's always the part where you actually learn more about the hero. Another team fight is happening. They've been looking towards the bottom side. Your goal now is to get a team fight and then to leverage it into a position where you can go high ground. He again used the TP to fill up his stuff, and he's looking really aggressively to move forward to the Zeus. As you can see, there's a huge distance that you can cross with Ember. That Zeus escapes the chains. Now they're just sweeping the map. They're trying to close it in again, get the enemies in a starving position, and then attempt to get the high ground. He finds a region luckily, so mana burn is no problem from the anti-mage. They're looking for an initiation. He has BKB up again. He's looking for the guy that splits the wave. And he's chasing that to the bitter end. They're really good grief. They really want to get him, huh? Bring all the heroes and they catch him in the end. It's refilling from the base. And then preparing to get the last and final push out of this game. Again, we want to center it around the Brewmaster and the Gyrocopter. But both of them TP top. They spot the Primal and barely kill him. At this point, Roche should be respawning. That's always a big key if you struggle taking high grounds. It means that you should be waiting for Roche. Then you have an easier time approaching it, and now we can have the gyrocopter just sitting in the front. Or our Ember diving into the enemy base again. They take the first set of rags, they're gonna rotate to the next one, and now as an Ember you basically just have to disrupt the enemies from cancelling out your gyrocopter. Putting out some aggression, some Searing Chains, diving in, using the BKB. Let's see if he gets out of here. Yes, he does! It's close, but he does indeed. Whoa, damn, that's close. And they get the Megas. And with this, I think the game is pretty much closing. There can be a rumble and some trouble, of course. But I think this is pretty much the view on how to play Ember. You can still scale. There are many items that you can get. You can get Hex here for the anti-mage. You can get Shivas. You can get some initiation items. You can get Octarine Core if you have the items already. All of those kind of things, but the idea is the same. Once you cross the mid game, you want to be looking towards disrupting the enemies and being able to enable your cores to get the objectives, since you don't have the highest of tower damages. Alright, let me summarize what this Ember gameplay is supposed to be. In the early game, you want to get as many last hits as possible for the laning stage, so you're constantly shoving out waves. Then around minute 8 to, let's say, 15, you want to be looking to get some nice initiation on side lane action. You don't want to be reacting to bad situations. You don't want to fix things that are going wrong. You want to participate against heroes that are weak against you and in good situations and proactively. Then for the mid game, you want to be looking to play with your offlaner and create as much trouble as you possibly can to get space to your carry. And then for the late game, you're looking to help them to get high ground together, get some pickoffs, chase the enemies, create even more opportunities of disruption and teamfight chaos. And in this, you really shine. You're gonna get a couple of kills, you're looking for a Sean, and then you try to close in the game. Cool. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this kind of content. Please leave me a like and subscribe. This is the easiest way you can support this channel. All of the information I'm putting out here is for free. It takes me a ton of time to prepare it, but I love doing it and I would like to continue to do this. All of the cutting and editing that you can see here is a new process to me, so I'm constantly learning and improving. I'm also very excited to where this whole journey goes, where it takes me and what other skills I can acquire during this. If you don't want to be alone in your Dota 2 journey and you don't want to blindly just queue game after game, consider taking me for a coach. You can connect with me on Discord, on WhatsApp, on Steam. I leave all of this for you in the description. I take 15 bucks an hour and I'm super excited to boost your gameplay, your MMR, and to be part of your Dota journey. With all of that being said, have an amazing day and we will see us in the next video. See ya!